The 1978 Superman movie was planned for a full 3 years, and its filming took 2 years. At the peak of production, a full-time crew of 1,000 people worked in 11 separate units, spread across the studio and 8 different countries. In total, over 1 million feet of film was used. It was the most expensive movie of its time. The producers offered Steven Spielberg the chance to direct Superman. However, they hesitated at the high fee he demanded. They said, "Let's first see how Jaws does at the box office." Jaws became a huge success, and Spielberg moved on to other projects. That year, he directed Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and a year later, 1941. But both films fell behind Superman at the box office. Spielberg and Richard Donner would later collaborate on The Goonies. Legendary actor Paul Newman was offered $4 million to appear in Superman, with the choice of playing Superman, Lex Luthor, or Jor-El. But Newman showed no interest in any of these roles and turned it down. Christopher Reeve ultimately landed the role of Superman and exceeded all expectations. As a glider pilot in his free time, Reeve used his flying experience to make Superman's flight scenes look more realistic. His transformation between Superman and Clark Kent was so convincing that critics gave him high praise. In fact, the voice of the air traffic controller during the helicopter landing scene was provided by Reeve himself. Casting director Lynn Stahlmaster first recommended Christopher Reeve, but director Richard Donner and the Salkind producers thought he was too young and too skinny. Reeve's screen test impressed everyone so much that he won the role. He then entered a strict bodybuilding program, going from 170 pounds, 77 kilograms, to 212 pounds, 96 kilograms, during pre-production. Today, bulking up for superhero roles is standard, but Christopher Reeve was the first actor to set this trend. Reeve's training was supervised by David Prowse, the bodybuilder who played Darth Vader in Star Wars. Initially, they got along well, but after Prowse suddenly left the country for 10 days without explanation, Reeve refused to continue working with him. Interestingly, Prowse had also auditioned for both Superman and the villain Non. At the time of filming, Christopher Reeve was a complete unknown. That's why the movie's trailers and posters prominently featured Marlon Brando and Gene Hackman instead. Reeve, despite playing Superman, was pushed into the background. To make matters worse, he earned only $250,000 in total for Superman and Superman 2. Originally, Superman's costume was designed in much darker colors, but this conflicted with the blue screen technology used in visual effects, making the suit look transparent. As a result, a lighter blue was chosen. Gene Hackman, cast as Lex Luthor, initially refused to shave his mustache. Early production photos even show him with one. Director Richard Donner made him a deal. "If you shave yours, I'll shave mine." Hackman agreed. But when they met in person, Donner removed a fake mustache he had put on as a prank. Hackman burst out laughing and became one of Donner's strongest supporters. For the role of Perry White, Jack Klugman was first considered but backed out. Eddie Albert accepted, but later demanded more money. With filming about to begin the next day, the producers panicked. Keenan Wynn then agreed, but after a long flight, he suffered chest pains and was hospitalized. Finally, Jackie Cooper was approached last minute. The only question asked was, "Do you have a valid passport?" When he said yes, he was immediately flown to London. Marlon Brando was paid $3.7 million plus a percentage of the profits for just 12 days of work. This deal also applied to the sequel, but Brando later sued producer Ilya Salkind, claiming he never received his share of profits. he refused to appear in Superman 2. In total, Brando earned around $14 million for just 10 minutes of screen time, making him the highest-paid actor of his era. His unused sequel footage was later included in Superman Returns. Cary Elwes, later known as the star of The Princess Bride, worked on set as a production assistant. His job was to escort Brando from his trailer to the set. But since Brando was being paid a daily rate of $1 million, he often wasn't eager to show up. Elwes recalled that Brando never called him by his name. Instead, he always addressed him as Rocky. On his very first day, Brando told Donna, "Keep the cameras rolling during rehearsal. Who knows, we might get lucky." And in fact, one of those rehearsal takes ended up in the final film. While Brando's laziness annoyed others, his natural performance impressed everyone. Still, Christopher Reeve later criticized him in interviews, saying, "He phoned it in, and it showed." In the scene where baby Kal-El is placed into his escape pod, Brando read his lines so naturally because they were written on the baby's diaper. Brando told Donna that this method kept his performance fresh, while too much rehearsal would ruin the spontaneity. When Donna finally yelled "cut," the crew broke into applause. The famous S symbol on Jor-El's costume was Brando's idea. It later became canon as the crest of the House of El in comics and adaptations. It may also have been a nod to the Adventures of Superman TV series from 1952. Pre-production began in Rome, where countless failed flying tests took place. Producer Ilya Salkind admitted they lost $2 million on these attempts. Finally, Yugoslav special effects expert Zoran Perisic developed the Zoptic process, a groundbreaking technique that allowed Superman's flying scenes to stay in focus while the background was blurred, convincingly selling the illusion of flight. Originally, Superman was only supposed to catch Lois as she fell, but Donna expanded the scene into the famous double jeopardy helicopter rescue. The sequence was supposed to be shot on the roof of the Pan Am building, but after a real helicopter crash occurred there on May 16, 1977, the plan was scrapped. The Daily Planet rooftop scene ultimately required 5 separate crews across 2 countries and 6 different shoots to complete. For Krypton's glowing costumes, the wardrobe team sewed tiny glass beads onto each outfit for weeks. The costumes could not be touched by bare hands, since natural skin oils would dull the shine. For young Clark Kent's football-throwing scene, an air cannon was hidden underground to launch the ball skyward. In another scene, actor Jeff East, playing young Clark, almost got hit by a moving train, but stuntman Richard Hackman pulled him away just in time. To create the effect of Clark running so fast that he left tracks in the dirt, a motorcyclist dragged a bag of soil behind him, simulating the footprints. When a burglar scales the side of a building in the film, the sequence was actually filmed horizontally. The actor was strapped upside down to a chair, and the footage was rotated to create the illusion of a vertical climb. In the famous scene where Superman drops Lois off at home and then Clark enters the apartment immediately after, the seamless transition was achieved by projecting Superman's flight on a giant screen, then having Lois walk straight onto the set where Clark appeared, creating the illusion of a single, continuous shot. Hackman refused to shave his head or wear a bald cap for Lex Luthor. Instead, his hair was styled differently in each scene to give the impression he was wearing various wigs. Only in the final prison scene does Luthor finally appear bald, thanks to a skull cap. As a subtle touch, notice that Superman's and Clark Kent's hair parts in opposite directions, a small but brilliant character distinction. Director Richard Donner was furious when art director John Barry and and cinematographer Jeffrey Unsworth were ignored by the Academy. Donna complained, "When a film like California Suite, which just recreates a hotel, gets nominated, and we built an entire city and the Fortress of Solitude from scratch, something's wrong." Superman's creators, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, wept when they saw the film for the first time. They were deeply moved by how powerfully their work had been brought to life on the big screen. Upon release, Superman held the #1 box office spot for 13 straight weeks. Still, it ended 1978 as the second highest grossing film, behind Grease. Its end credits ran for a then record 7 minutes and cost more than many entire movies of the time. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.